Cool, great. I want to start now, guys. All righty. You asked because you received a webinar starting in one day. No, the problem with the webinars is I have to reset the time each day. So there will be no webinar tomorrow. The webinar is now, and that's it. And then I will send out a link. If you're at fxjake.com, if you've gone in there and put your email address in, I'll send you a link that'll have these recordings. And we'll have the recordings up for a couple of days, 2 days or so. So if you missed any of them, you can go through them, okay? Now, for some reason, my YouTube's is a bit of a stickler. Here we are. Excelente. Cool. All right. Now, I'm going to pay attention to your chat box more so than the YouTube chat box. It's a bit distracting, so I'm going to stick with that one. Cool. All righty. And we are off to the races. Hey guys, welcome back. And we are at pillar number 3. So just a quick recap of what is happening here. We have the first pillar was when we talked about your system, and we talked about matching up your belief to your system and not following what someone else does. You can certainly take pieces of what other people do and build it based on your beliefs. We all end up trading our beliefs anyway. That's the big message on that one. And then the second pillar webinar, we talked about mindset, talked about things like, you know, if you make the same mistakes over and over again, sometimes it's actually not like, oopsie, I missed another trade. It's more, there's a underlying subconscious belief or goal that's directing you to do that. So because subconsciously you want to be able to say to people, oh, I missed that trade again, or whatever. And I know it sounds funny that you'd want to do that, but I believe there are no accidents. And if you look at the research in terms of your subconscious, what we know is that if you can align what's in your subconscious with what you say you consciously want to do, then you will be much more likely to achieve your goal. In fact, all of your actions will direct you there. And we talked about using hypnosis, subliminals, and even the worksheet. Yeah, sorry. And even when you go into that hypnagogic state, you can repeat a mantra as you're falling asleep. Actually, a good trick for that. This is in the Subconscious Profits course. If you have access to that, you know this. But in the Subconscious Profits course, we talk about making a fist as you fall asleep. And what you'll notice is as your fist kind of unfolds, that tells you that you're relaxing and you're falling asleep. And then you want to really concentrate on your mantra. For example, I follow my system rules and I make money every week. I follow my system rules and I make money every week, or whatever it is. Make sure you form that sentence, that mantra, in a positive, in the active positive voice. So you don't say, I will start making money, or I will make money, because your subconscious will interpret that as it's always going to happen in the future. Here is your handy dandy sheet for today. I will copy this bad boy and send it through to everybody right there. Boom. And like I said, if you've registered at fxjake.com and put your email in there, I'll send you the links to the recordings for all 3 sessions. You'll also get the downloads below those videos and all that, and the answers and all that. So you'll have all of that stuff too, okay? And if you stick around to the end, I'll give you the link for the answers to today's as well, okay? So there you are. And I'll give this to make sure that we give this to the people on the YouTubes as well. Make sure that the YouTube's people have this as well. So here's your little download sheet for you guys, all right? Boom. Right there, like magic. So today we're going to talk about growing your account quickly, all right? And a couple of things to point out about this that's kind of important. Obviously, we don't risk money that we can't afford to lose. It's always risk capital. And I'm not offering any trading advice. This is just for educational purposes only. I'm not saying that you're going to make this amount of money or even lose this amount of money, or that these sorts of things are typical. All I really want to do is share with you some things that have been helpful for me and some of the people that I know who trade. And I'm not saying it's going to work for you. In fact, we know that most traders lose money, right? That's pretty clear. You can, in fact, lose so much money in trading that the broker can contact you and say, you lost all your money in your account and you owe us more money. That can happen too. So it's a very risky thing, right? So when we're doing our looking at growing an account quickly, we have to look at it from several different points of view. There are basically three, just like there are three pillars to trading, and all of your trading challenges end up in one of these pillars: systems, mindset, or risk. The same thing happens with risk. If you have this goal in mind, I want to grow an account quickly, you basically have three options. And that's about it. And those options are: one, you can trade with a higher expectancy. So we talked about the expectancy formula, and I think that was in pillar 1. And when you're looking at ranking your systems or kind of trying to interpret what your system's likely to offer in the future, provided that the past results mirror future results, which is never the case, but that's what we have to go on. So if you're looking at past results in Forex Tester, for example, and you're saying, well, what might happen here? Well, that expectancy formula will tell you for every $1,000 or $100 or $5,000 you push through the system, how much you expect to make. It's never perfect. You'll have winning streaks and losing streaks, which we're going to talk about today. Really important. That's a really important aspect of building an account quickly, is looking at that element. Those streaks are really important. But you could trade a higher expectancy system. Now, I can only tell you what I've found in my trading, which is the more comfortable I get trading lower win rate strategies, the higher the expectancy. Kind of counterintuitive, right? And we're going to talk about a strategy that you might use with higher win rate strategies. But for right now, just know that typically, for example, I think I mentioned this in the last video, but one of the things that I found here, I think it was in June newsletter, I was talking about, I did a test and I found that when my system had a 41.7% win rate, the expectancy was 24 cents. So for every dollar I put through the system, I was expected to make 24 cents. So obviously you make the dollar back too, right? I'm just telling you. So that's what you expect to make. For every dollar you pump through it, you make 24 cents. But then when I got more aggressive and I tweaked the system so that it had a higher expectancy, the win rate plummeted to 26.7%, but it was actually now making 31 cents for every dollar that I pumped through it. And that was in the June newsletter. So this is one of those things. If you can get to the point where you're more comfortable, and this is a mindset thing, where you're more comfortable losing, then you actually can make more money, provided everything goes as you expect it to go based on historical testing data. So that's really an important thing to note, that trading a higher expectancy system can definitely get you to your goals faster, right? Number 2 is to trade more frequently, higher frequency of trading. Now, there's a big misnomer on this one. A lot of traders think that higher frequency trading means lower time frames. In fact, you'll even see this in like the business newspapers and things like that when they talk about those dastardly algorithms and all those high frequency robots that these funds are putting together. And they often equate high frequency trading with lower time frame trading. That's not necessarily true. You can take a whole bunch of trades, in other words, be a high frequency trader and trade the daily charts or the 8-hour charts or whatever. If you're watching 65 markets and you're watching the 8-hour, the 12-hour, the daily, and the 2-day charts, right, which are pretty much my favorite charts there, 8-hour, 12-hour, daily, and 2-day charts. If you're doing that and you're watching like 40 or 50 or 60 markets, you're probably going to be a high frequency trader. You're going to have a lot of trades on, even though those trades are going to happen in slow motion, right? So that's important to note as well, is that you can trade higher expectancy strategies, or you can trade higher frequency strategies as well. Or even just add more markets. Adding more markets could create higher frequency trading for you. But remember, you're not necessarily, and we talked about this in Pillar 1 when we talked about systems, you're not necessarily diversifying if you trade multiple markets. Just keep that in mind. That's a big myth. The next thing you can do is you can change your risk management. So, and what I mean by that is just like we all have sort of like software in our subconscious that we're not aware of by definition, but we may not know kind of what it's doing. We have to look at our results to know what our subconscious, programming is doing for us, or what our goals are based on our subconscious goals. The same thing happens with your risk. You have a software or risk management rules in your trading, even if you're not aware of them. Even if you're not aware of what they are, you have risk management algorithms, right? So you can change your risk management algorithms, and that will change your trading results, okay? So remember that too. That's an important thing. And we're going to talk about this in just a minute. The other thing I want to talk about is the drawdowns. Drawdowns are really the big killer for traders. Drawdowns are the reason why traders quit. Losing streaks are drawdowns, right? And if you're doing everything right, if you're trading your strategy as you should, according to the rules, executing as you should, and you have a drawdown, a losing streak, a move down in your equity curve, guess what? There should really only be one reason for that drawdown. What is the reason, by the way? If I have a drawdown, if I have a losing streak, and I'm doing everything right, I'm trading my system just as I should, and have 9 losing trades in a row, what's the reason for my losing streak? Any ideas? Who knows? Yep. Nailed it, James. I think I like the way Mark said it. But yeah, no, Marion, and that's why I wanted to point this out. So James says luck, and that's right, bad luck. If you do everything right, if you execute your strategy just as you should, and you have 9 losing trades in a row, I believe you should celebrate. Not only do I believe you should celebrate, if you're nailing it on your execution and doing the exact same thing after your 8th losing trade, and you still take that 9th one just as you should, and you still lose, that's bad luck, and I think you should celebrate. Go out with your girlfriend or husband or wife or whatever and have like a nice dinner because you're trading well. You just have bad luck. That's it. Celebrate your execution, not your results. When we look at our results, that's where we get into trouble because we're like the gambler, right? The gambler who like plays the slot machines and wins and like, oh, well, what happened? How did I win that time? Oh yeah, I had my, I was wearing my dirty underwear. Okay, so now every time I'm going to go, and that's how superstitions start. I'll wear my dirty underwear every time I go to the slot machines because those are my lucky underwear or whatever, right? You do that as a trader too. We all make that mistake if we think that our results are due to something we did. No, our results are random. We get a random sequence of winners and losers, and the clumps of the winners and losers is absolutely random, okay? It's nothing to do with as long as we're doing the right thing and executing our strategy, we should not beat ourselves up because we have 9 losing trades in a row. In fact, we should celebrate the fact that we did the right thing 9 times in a row because the money will come later as long as we're trading a positive expectancy system. All righty. Okay, so drawdowns are definitely the trader killer. The reason why traders quit, give up, or worse, I don't want to mention the unspeakables because it happens, right? Jesse Livermore, go no further than Jesse. Lots of traders have met his fate. The reason why traders do that is because they focus on the results and not the execution. Okay, so let's move on to number. So most traders overestimate their ability to withstand drawdowns. They think that they can stomach losing streaks that they actually are unable to stomach. So a lot of traders will tell me, I'll say, well, okay, what are your trading goals? I want to make, 40% this year. Okay, great. All right. What do you want to make in 5 years? Okay, I want to make 1.7 million. Okay, great. All right, what kind of draw, how many systems do you have? What do your systems look like? These are the expectancies. Okay, great. What kind of drawdowns are you willing to sit through? What would be your catastrophic, oh no, the sky is falling drawdown? Well, I think I could probably sit through about a 30% drawdown. Usually that's not true. Usually traders will say, I can sit through a 30% drawdown. When really, they can only sit through like a 20% drawdown. So I would ratchet it down if possible. I would definitely ratchet it down if possible. If you think it's 20%, try 15, calculate 15. So your risk calculator is where we want to go. And I know I talk about this all the time, but it's really important, guys. So I am going to talk about it once again, okay? So this risk calculator works like this. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. There's a video here that shows you how to use it. Forgive me if you've seen this before, but I think it's one of the things that I wish someone shared with me in 2000 when I started trading Forex, that is. Okay, so here. Let's say that I have a 60% win rate strategy. We'll go 61. And let's say that I have a 1.5 to 1. So that means I'm risking $1,000 and my losers are $1,000 losers. My winners are $1,500 winners, okay? I risk 2% per trade. And my question is, over the next, not 1,000, but 10,000 trades, will I experience a drawdown of 20%? And the answer is yes, sir. 57.8% chance. Now I can click it again. It'll estimate it again because it uses like a Monte Carlo in the background. So 60% chance, 57% chance. You can see it's right around, it's going to be between probably 56 and 61% chance. It looks like it's probably going to be somewhere around that 57, 58% mark, right? So that is what is going on. Can you share any resources that explain the detailed math behind the risk of ruin? Your website is great, but I want to understand it way more detail. Yeah, it's just doing a Monte Carlo in the background. I will have to send my programmer. Would have to. I can connect you with Marlon if you want. I think you may have. I'll send you a message, Mark. Yeah, you've met him. I thought you did. Yeah, Marlon will be able to speak to that. Oh, and I can give you a resource too. Just please remind me. Yeah. So so this is basically. There's two ways to do this. You can do Monte Carlo, or you can use a formula. If you use the formula, we're talking about risk of ruin formula. So that's not going to give you a range. It's just going to give you a number. But we're talking about drawdown here because this is the killer. So the answer to the question, am I going to have a 20% drawdown if I have a 61% win rate? I'm risking $1,000. I win $1,500 and I risk 2% of my account. The answer is yes, you will. Almost certainly, 6 out of 10 chance. So it's going to happen. So what do? I reduce my risk to 1% per trade. And now what do I get? Now we're okay. We're at 99.8%, 99.9%. So we have like a 99 point. So the way you interpret this is you have a 99.8% chance of avoiding a 20% drawdown if I have a 61% win rate and I'm making 1.5 reward for my 1R risk. So if I risk $2,000 and I make $3,000, or if I risk $4,000 and I make $6,500, my math is right on that, or whatever. The point is I can risk 1% and I'll probably be okay. That's how you do that. So you want to get your numbers. How do you get your numbers? You go into Forex Tester, or you can pull your live account statement, figure out what your win rate is, your average winner, your average loser, go over that formula we talked about in pillar number 1 webinar and calculate this out. And then it's like, boom, you're set now, right? Now, what can you do? Well, now you can say, well, I can adjust my risk. This is all assuming you use fixed fractional risk management, which is the 1% rule or the 2% rule or the 0.5% or 1.5% or whatever. Use that same risk on every trade. That's what this calculator assumes. If you're going to get into more sophisticated stuff, like the stuff that's in the book, the risk management book, right? Or what we're going to talk about in just a minute, then this calculator doesn't apply. Sorry. You have to use like spreadsheets and Monte Carlo software, basically, which Market System Analyzer is pretty darn good. If I do say so myself. If you're looking for a Monte Carlo software, Market System Analyzer is the one to use for those of you that are interested in this stuff. Okay, so let's keep going here. I'm going to just take this little calculator thing and there we go. So the risk calculator is going to help you determine your chances of hitting your catastrophic drawdown level. If you're using fixed fractional, you can adjust it down. Now, people sometimes will email me and they'll say, hey, Walter, I ran the risk calculator, and if I put it down to 100 trades or 1,000 trades, then my risk goes down. And the answer is, yeah, I know. That's why I always put 10,000 trades, because I want to be very conservative in my estimate. If I put 10,000 trades in there, that's going to give me a very conservative, it's going to give me a higher chance of hitting my catastrophic drawdown level. If I put 10 trades in there, it's going to give me a very low chance, right? But we want to be very, because the markets are much more volatile than we expect them to be, I want to be more conservative and reduce my risk even further of hitting that catastrophic drawdown level. Okay, next. Legendary traders. So if you know anything about, does everyone know who Larry Williams is, or George Soros, or you hear about these stories? Larry Williams' daughter, I believe, also won a trading contest. Like, if you've heard these stories about these traders, here's the thing, here's the reality. These people, where these stories come from, they actually take on huge risk. What would be the acceptable number of periods? I would say 10,000, Ryan. I think you must have typed that before I just went into my little tirade. Yeah. Remember, we're talking about trading a system over your lifetime. So it doesn't matter how old you are. You're probably going to trade for probably at least 10 years, right? If you're trading for 10 years, you're taking 7 trades a week on average. 7 trades a week times 50 weeks out of the year. You take 2 weeks off. That's 350 trades on that one system, right? 350 trades a year. If you trade over 10 years, that's 3,500 trades. So, you know, bump it up to 10,000 and be more conservative. That's my advice. Remember that these estimates essentially use a normal curve, and we don't have a normal curve in the markets. That's why I really think it's a good idea to overestimate the likelihood of something by putting in like the 10,000 number. Okay. Legendary traders take on big risks. So if you heard the story about George Soros, how he broke the Bank of London, well, he really piled it on. That was a trade against the pound with the Deutschmark. This is before the euro. If you can Google George Soros and Bank of London and get all this. He basically broke the Bank of London on this trade. It was like a double top. If you go back and look at the charts I have, it's kind of like a double top. The Deutschmark was running up, or sorry, the pound was running up against the Deutschmark. And so he sold it, and basically they couldn't pay him. They didn't have enough money to pay him. Well, the reason they didn't have enough money to pay him is because he went hog wild on his risk. He really thought it was a double top. And I'm sure he had funny mental reasons why, not just the technical. But he even says, if you listen to his interview in the Market Wizards, it takes courage to be a pig, right? That's his quote. So he really piles it on. Same thing with Larry Williams. So Larry Williams won the futures trading contest, I think in 1987, and his daughter won it in like 1991. Michelle Williams and Heath Ledger. She was actually, I think she had Heath Ledger's baby before he died. So Michelle Williams is Larry Williams' daughter. She won the contest too. What's interesting though is that Larry admits that even though he took 10,000 over the course of a year up to 1.1 million, and I believe that record still stands as the best trading result in that contest, he freely admits that Ralph Vince gave him the optimal F formula, and that's what he used. He also will admit that he was in a 90% drawdown at one stage. So let me ask you this question. If you were in a 90% drawdown, would you continue to trade? The answer is probably no. Unfortunately, the answer is probably no. Most of us would not. So you wouldn't see your $10,000 go. So I think he went like to 200 grand, and then it fell all the way down to like, 20 grand, and then it went up again and whatever. And actually, he was in a massive drawdown when the contest ended. He was going to win the contest, but he said, screw it, I'll keep trading. And he kept trading, and he went up to 1.9 million, and he was in an $800,000 drawdown when the contest ended in December. So just keep that in mind. You know, you look at these stories and you read these stories about these legendary traders. A lot of the time, they either did one of two things. They compounded over many, many years, like Richard Dennis and Ed Sequoia, or actually, word on the street is that Ed Sequoia takes on pretty big risks too. That's why he doesn't. I don't want to talk about it, but yeah, that's the word on the street about him too. But with Soros for sure, and with Larry Williams, we know, and Ralph Vince will tell you this too, that he was risking a big chunk of money on the system that he was trading in the contest, and he had wild swings. There was another contest, similar one, where somebody had like a 72% drawdown. He won the contest, but he had 72% drawdown. So, you know, these contests and these aggressive traders, a lot of times what they're doing is they're taking on significant risk. And most traders wouldn't be able to sit through a 70% drawdown or a 90% drawdown. I mean, it's hard for you to imagine that you'd pull out of that, but that's what you have to do when you take these really aggressive risk management algorithms and apply them to your trading. Okay? All right, so let's move on here. We'll go to the next one, which is, I would say, a simple way to survive. We're on number 5 now, if you're following along in your worksheet. A simple way to survive with a really aggressive risk management is to simply break off some cheddar. So if you're not up on your rap lingo, basically that is to take a tiny account and trade that really aggressively. So example, por ejemplo, let's say you have 10 grand and after 6 weeks, you're able to make 10% on that. So you've got your 10 grand up to 11 grand. So then you take your 1 grand, you put it into, even with $1,000, I would split it up into several different brokers. Again, that's another thing we talk about in the risk management book, which is broker risk, man. Broker risk. I dodged a bullet. All these brokers that went bust, like, well, I won't mention them, but I had accounts with 3 brokers that went bust, but for whatever reason, I pulled my money out before they went bust. Recently, just got dinged by one. Luckily, it was a testing account, but this broker, I had an account with them for 3 or 4 years. Boom, lawsuit, sued by the feds. And they're like, you can't take your money out. Now, I didn't even know. It happened like 2 months. I was on holidays this year in Europe, and I went to see if I could pull some money out. And they're like, sorry, you can't take your money out. We're in a lawsuit, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, basically, I'm never going to see that money again. But you have to remember that this is a possibility. So even with $1,000, if you're going to break off some cheddar, you take that profit, put it into 3 or 4 accounts, $250 in each account, and then get super hyper aggressive and trade like Optimal F or a really aggressive thing, trying to ramp that up, knowing that if you lose the $1,000, it's okay. It was just profit that you made anyway. So it's kind of like just go for it sort of thing. I know a lot of traders that do that. They'll hype themselves up. They'll get really aggressive, and they have a goal of taking 1,000 to 200 grand or 100 grand or whatever. And it's like, it's not gonna work every time. Sometimes they're gonna have these 95% drawdowns, but occasionally they crack it and it's worth it to them, right? So that's another way that you can get really aggressive with your trading if you want to ramp up some, make a lot of money without losing all of your trading capital. Compounding accounts is something that a lot of traders understand. However, what's interesting about compounding is that you can do it not only to accounts, but you can do it to trades. A lot of traders don't realize that compounding trades is another concept. A lot of people don't understand this. So that I have this course called Profit Bricks, where we talk about using this compounding of trades. It's a great way to grow an account. It's super aggressive, and your drawdowns aren't going to be, they will be a little bit deeper, but not that much relative to the higher equity peak. So it's a really cool way to grow an account. And I'm going to share another method with you in just a moment, one that you might want to use. So we know that that most traders don't know how to compound individual trades, right? And some traders understand compounding accounts. You probably understand that. You're here at a risk management webinar thing, so this is something you get, right? I understand that. So I'm preaching to the choir, but a lot of traders don't understand that. But even more so is, how do you take and compound trades at the trade level? We're going to talk about it in just a minute. All right. So math, you can prove mathematically that you will make more cheddar if you adjust the risk when the odds change. That's a really important concept, because a lot of times, well, just about every time you read a trading book, they're going to tell you this. And, you know, I wish I had one here. It's in the library, but no, I don't have any trading books here. But if you open up any trading book, it's going to say risk 1% per trade or risk 2%. They never tell you why. Oh, you don't want to blow up your account. It's not worth it, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they just say some BS like that. Well, the reality is, if you have an aggressive goal and you want to make more money, what you really want to do is, as the odds change, adjust your risk, okay? This is an important concept. And mathematically, we can prove that if you do this, you will make more money, okay? So let's talk about this, and I'm going to share with you one method for this in just a minute. So when the odds change, this is the critical thing. When the odds change is when you really want to ramp this up. It's easier to design a system, a trading system, that wins. It's easier to design a system that gets a cluster of wins than design a system that's really profitable. Most of the strategies that I trade, or that I come up with, the ideas I come up with, they totally suck. And they fall apart at the back testing stage, and I throw them away. They don't work, right? And I can, usually you can make them a little bit better by tweaking the exit, but most of the stuff that I see is just total crap. But once in a while, I luck into something good, like I don't know if you went to the Lighthouse webinar. We talked about the Lighthouse. Sometimes you can find something that's pretty cool. Well, taking advantage of these win streaks is one way that you can amplify your equity curve. And you don't necessarily have the same effect on your equity curve lows. Although you will have deeper drawdowns, the amplification of the drawdown isn't necessarily as great as the amplification of the peak. And that's what compounding at the trade level will do for you. So keep that in mind. You can get higher equity peaks. You'll also have deeper drawdowns, but it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. You know what I'm saying? That's not what happens here. It's not like you'll get 3 times higher equity peaks and 3 times lower drawdown levels. It's not at that ratio. The drawdowns are amplified by less than the peaks are. Boom. Profit bricks is pure gold. That's great. Optimal F. Yeah. No. We're not going to talk about Optimal F today. Okay. Sorry. You can read any of one of Ralph Vince's densely formula-laden books for Optimal F. Or the Ryan Jones book on fixed ratio. Right, Ryan? That's your book, right, Ryan? Okay. Optimal F, a really scientific way to lose money. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So I think it's Ryan Jones' The Trading Game, right? That's the book. Okay, so what we want to do is measure the different distance between the equity highs and disregard the midpoints. So let me share with you what this looks like. Okay, 1 second. So I want to just pull over this. I want to just give you the rules so you can go off and test this on your own. All right. So this all right. So what I want to share with you is this. This is the Matterhorn, and this is how it works. Okay. This is the Matterhorn, and the Matterhorn is very simple. It's a strategy that will probably, I'm just testing it right now, and I want to give this to you, and you can go off and test it, but it's very simple. These are the rules. Rule number 1, define 1 unit of risk. So this is like a dollar amount, $100, $1,000, $5,000, whatever it is, whatever you're going to risk on every trade. Could be $50, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what your trading account looks like. So you start with this 1 unit of risk, and then After every win, you add a unit. So you're risking $1,000. You make $1,000. It's a 1-to-1 reward risk. You make $1,000 on the trade. Next trade, you risk $2,000. You make $2,000 on that trade. Next trade, you risk $3,000. Right? Next trade, you risk you win $3,000. Next trade, you risk $4,000. You lose $4,000. So then you move back down after a loss. So then you risk $3,000. So you win, you add 1 unit. You lose, you subtract a unit. That's it. Very simple. And then you stop after you reach your target. So that's the Matterhorn. This is a way to compound your trades at the trade level. So let's say I have a $20,000 account, and let's say that my goal is to make $2,500. What I would do is I would follow these rules. I would risk, for example, I don't know, $400. I have a $20,000 account, so I risk $400, which is 5% of my account. Super aggressive, right? Maybe I risk $300. Okay, I risk $300, and if I win that $300, then on my next trade I risk $600. If I win on my next trade, that's $600. Now I'm up $900. Then I risk $900 on the next trade. If I win that $900 on the next trade, I risk $1,200 and so forth. And by the time when I get to $2,500, I reset and I go back down to 1 unit. Does that make sense? Everyone understand that? Is that cool? That is what the Matterhorn is. That's it. It's as simple as that. And what you will see is that the curve changes drastically when you do this. When you do this, when you trade this way, you will have a very, very different equity curve, because your win streaks are gonna be your win streaks are gonna lead to much higher equity highs. And what you want to do is measure the distance between your equity highs, it says heights, and disregard the midpoints. You just want to look how far, you want them to cluster together pretty close. So how far apart are they, basically? That's the Matterhorn. That's what the Matterhorn is. I implore you that if you would like to take a small account and grow it, then you need a couple of different elements to trade the Matterhorn. Number one, you need a system that has a high win rate. Why? Because does everybody know how to determine the likelihood of having a couple of winners in a row? It's pretty easy, right? If you have a 70% win rate, the chance of you having 2 winners in a row is what? 49% of the time. If you have a 70% win rate, there's a 49% chance that you will have a win and follow it up with a win, right? Remember, when you're trading the Matterhorn, it's okay to have losers along the way. Those losers will pull you back down and move you away from your target goal, the target amount of money you want to make before you have to reset. But you're only dropping it 1 unit. So as long as you're in a high win rate, or in a streak of winners, or you're trading a high win rate system, then which is very easy to achieve if you have a low reward risk ratio, like a 1-to-1, for example, then what you can do is pull yourself out of those after you have a loss or 2 losses in a row. You just need a couple more wins and you pull yourself back up again. So you don't want to make it too aggressive. Like in that example that I gave you, I said, what if we had a $20,000 account risking $300 per unit? You don't want to go for like 10 grand or something on a $20,000 account. You don't want to make 50%. That's going to be hard to achieve unless you get super aggressive, and you're going to have some pretty nasty drawdowns. So you want to have kind of a viable goal. Like, still $2,500, that's pretty good, right? $2,500 is like 12.5% on a 20 grand account. That's a pretty good result. If I can do that in 10 to 12 trades, that's pretty awesome, really. You wouldn't do that normally if you're risking 2% per trade. So that's what the Matterhorn allows you to do. Are there any questions about this? Is this making sense? The Matterhorn? So what you're trying to do here is allowing you to reach your trading goals even while experiencing losers. So you can have losers along the way. With Profit Bricks, it's a bit different, because as soon as you have a loser, boom, you're reset to 0 again, or actually a loss. Negative or 0, depending on how you set it up. So it's very different to Profit Bricks. I believe that Profit Bricks is better with high reward to risk ratio systems that have a lower win rate. I believe the Matterhorn is better with higher win rate systems with a lower reward risk ratio. So they kind of both give you a similar effect. It's just one is more suited to higher win rates. I mean, obviously, it'd be great to have profit bricks and apply that to a high win rate strategy too. But I think that the compounding effect of profit bricks is better for, you know, like the really aggressive strategies, or you're making 3 or 4 or 5R. Why is it called After a Mountain? Oh, just like, you know, in The Price is Right, like this is that, The Price is Right, where you get the little guy goes up and up and up. That's how your equity curve will look. Okay. It's, it's going to go up and up and up and then fall, and then up and up and up and then fall. And so, you know, that's what it looks like. Right. You get these really, and so in The Price is Right, you have to guess the price of 3 things. And for every dollar you get it off, the guy moves up. And after he moves up more than $25, he falls off the cliff. It just kind of reminds me, the equity curve kind of reminds me of that. So if you guys like this sort of stuff, like the Matterhorn and stuff like this, then I'm going to invite you to join us in the Inner Circle. Because you're here watching this right now, you can go to nakedforksinnercircle.com/trial for the next 48 hours, I think it is. And you can get in for only $99. Now and the first 5 members will also get a one-on-one consult if you'd like to join us. Now the normal price is $397 a month, and you're going to get the books in your welcome pack. So this is what you get. You get the newsletter and the books. So you'll get 25 mind hacks for traders, which is this. No, not this one. It's this one right here. So this is trading psychology. So you get 25 things for traders. So lucid dreaming for consistency, intuitive journal, have an exit race, record your thoughts, use your trading bullets, challenge, get a tap, pre-trade routine, a trade folder. So that's all in that book, the 25 mind hacks for traders book. And you'll get the 8 super trader activators in your welcome kit right here. There's videos that come with these books too to help you with the concepts that we go over. This is all about the 8 things that happen in your trading world. Okay, there are 8 things, and there are only 8 things that affect you and your trading, and that's in the 8 super trader activators. If you know what they are, then you'll know what to focus on. And my favorite book of the lot, which is the where the heck is this sucker? How to manage Forex. It's a really long title, isn't it? How to manage Forex risk for consistent profits. This is where we talk about risk management strategies, how to employ them. All this stuff will come in a box in your welcome kit when you take the trial offer up. And you'll get the videos associated with those books, the 8 super trader activators, 25 mind hacks for traders, the risk management book, and the newsletter. So every month, at the end of the month, we're fixing to send out the December one right now, actually. You get a newsletter where we talk about what's working in trading, and a profit hacks, which is a specific strategy. So this was a strategy I was talking about earlier where it bumped up my profits by 27 point whatever it was percent, just by making one tweak to my strategy, which was pretty cool. And you get the videos each month too. These videos come with the newsletters, and they explain the profit hacks and the newsletter concepts in there. So the newsletter is more about big concepts, and the profit hacks is more about specific techniques. That's why they're separate. I'm also going to give you the Pyramiding for Profits course. If you know anything about what, like Bill Williams, for example, the Trading Chaos guy in the Trading Chaos book, he and his students, they make their money by trading the trend and pyramiding for profits. Pyramiding is a very powerful way to take advantage of a trend, but there are many different ways to do it, and there are pros and cons to different types of pyramiding, and all of that is in the Pyramiding for Profits course. I would sell this for $2,000, but you're going to get it free when you join the Inner Circle. That will come in your welcome kit. And the Henry Ford Trading Method course. This course answers one question, and that question is, hey, is my trading system broken? And I give you the spreadsheets and the rules and the things that I use to answer that question when I'm trading a system and I'm in a drawdown and I'm thinking, uh-oh, is my system broken? Has the market changed? The answer is based on how you look at your data. And I'll also give you the Big R Trading Systems course. This course, again, if I were to sell the Big R Trading Systems course, which I don't, it would be $1,997, like all my other courses, but you will get it free for joining the Inner Circle. What's big R? Big R is so R is a concept from Van Tharp's book. I can't remember the name of his book. What is it called? Trade Your Way to Financial Freedom. That's where he introduced that concept. I believe that's where he introduced that concept. That's where I read about it. And these systems are all big R trading systems. So how to get big reward to risk ratios trades. If you were to buy all this stuff, the books would be about $57 if I were to sell them. And the courses would be about $19.97. It'd be $8,000, over $8,000. But you're going to get all this stuff free for joining, just for the $99 trial. So $99 your first month. If you don't like it, you can quit at any time, but it's normally $397 a month. So this is a pretty good deal. You get the first month for $99, and you'll get your welcome kit and all that, and then $397 every month after that. We meet every other week. We actually just met. So we'll have another meeting in 2 weeks. So we meet every other week, and in that meeting, I talk about what I've been working on, what's been working for me, things like Matterhorn or whatever, that I'm looking at working on, and the data that we've come up with and what I found and what's been useful. We talk about trading psychology hacks, anything that's really helping me right now, I share with you. We can bring you on in the call, and we can help you with your challenges as well. So it's really it's like, if you were to come here and work with me, I would show you what I'm working on. It's the same thing, but I just send it to you in the mail, right? And if you were like, hey, I'm stuck with this thing every time I do this and I don't know why, come on the call, tell us what you're doing, and we'll come up with a plan for you. It helps other people too, because they could be going through similar things. That's what the Inner Circle is all about. It's about working through our challenges and getting better as a group. So if you accept this offer and become a member today, just go to nakedforksinnercircle.com/trial. You'll get access to the members area. We'll ship off your welcome kit, and we will invite you to our twice a month, or no, sometimes it's 3 times a month, but every other week, bi-weekly, I guess is the term, bi-weekly sessions, mastermind sessions with our group. And they're all recorded. So if you aren't able to make it, you can watch the recording. You can also send through your questions if you're not able to make it, if you're at work or sleeping or whatever. Send through your questions, and we'll tackle them at the call as well. So you'll get them answered either way, even if you're not there. The first 5 members, I'll give you a one-on-one consult. We'll talk about what you're working on, and I'll give you a plan so you can hit the ground running when you join our group. Now, some people might be thinking, I don't know about this, Walter. Not sure if it's for me. Maybe it's not. But what I like to do is I always look at, like, what are the pros and cons? I even did this before I got married, by the way. Don't tell my wife. So you get personal help from me every month. You send through questions, or you get on the bi-weekly calls, and whatever you're stuck with, or whatever your challenge is, we're here to help you. Your other members are going to help you, because they're going to spark some ideas. They're going to say, well, this is what I've been doing, and we'll share that with the group. You can get new risk management strategies, new trading systems, and trading psychology hacks. It's cheaper than signing up for a $5,000 consult with me. It's much cheaper. $397 a month, or, well, in this case, $99 for your first month, is a lot cheaper than plonking down $5,000. You could get unstuck. Let's say, for example, you're stuck right now. What if you were just to do this and get unstuck? Would it be worth it to you? Would $397 a month be worth it to you? I think so. It's like $14 a day or whatever. Would that be actually worth it? What if you made trading your big deal income? What if you quit your job and just did this? Would that be worth it to you? I think it would be. $397 a month, to some people, that's a bit much. I can tell you it's a lot cheaper than alternatives, than other ones that are out there. That's why we priced it at this level, so that we can get, so it's, more people can access it. But if $397 a month is too much for you, then maybe it's not for you. Or what if it doesn't work for you? Well, the good news is you can just quit at any time. So once you're in, you say, I don't know about this, you can just quit. So it's not something that you have to stick with. So nakedforksinnercircle.com/trial is where you can get this deal. It's the only place that you can get the deal, and it's up for 48 hours, and then we're going to pull it down. Some people ask me questions, say, hey, why don't you just trade? Well, number one, I really love teaching. Number two, it's fun to get emails. I just got another email from another trader the other day who was saying that he's like finally made it to the other side or whatever, and he was really excited, and thank you so much. And I love getting those emails. Not everybody tells me when that happens. Sometimes they just go away. And I also learn from my students. Some of the most important trading lessons that I've applied in my trading have come from working with students. So it's a very valuable relationship for me too, to work with people and to talk to you every other week. Is this guaranteed to work? No, sirree. In fact, if you're, just so you're not, I want to make sure everyone's clear on this. Most traders don't make money, and I don't know how much you're gonna put into this. I don't know if you're gonna work. I don't know what your situation is. So it's definitely not there's no guarantees here. We don't know. We just don't know, and I can't legally say that this is gonna work for you because I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I do know that you're gonna have challenges just like I do, and I do know that you're gonna have to figure it out. So you can figure it out by yourself, or you can figure it out with a group of people like this. Somehow you're gonna have to figure it out. I do know that that's true, for sure. What's the difference between the newsletter and the Profit Hack? So the newsletter is more about things that I think are gonna help in your trading, and I show you what's helped for me, concepts, psychology. Sometimes we have tests that you can take and how to interpret your results. Profit Hacks is more of a kind of a do this, this, and this. So try this, test this, look at this. So it's a more kind of step-by-step thing. Why would anyone pay $397 to join a mastermind? Well, if you didn't want to pay $2 or $5 grand to join a mastermind, that's why you might want to pay $397 and see if you can get value and improvement based on a much lower price point. What about the hot seat? So the hot seat is open to any member at any of our bi-weekly meetings. And the way that it works is you send through your challenges in the application, and then we bring you on and we talk about them and we come up with a plan for you. So you just send through your application, we talk about it at the meeting, and then we create a personalized plan for you. You can come back on the hot seat later if you're still working through your plan. So there's no shame in that. And it helps other people too, because a lot of times what you're going through, other people are as well. Are there any refunds? No. And if you're thinking about refunds, I can definitely say with 100% certainty, this is definitely not for you. Can I just buy your books and your courses that are in the welcome pack? No, I'm sorry. They're just for our members. So nakedforexinnercircle.com/trial is where you will get in. If I get the trial, will I still be a member of the forum for a year? If you get the trial, so if you're a member of the forum, you can quit your forum subscription, and because anyone who's in the inner circle gets access to the trial, anyone who's in the inner circle gets access to the forum as a part of your forum membership. You also get access to the members area for the inner circle members too, right? Where all the recordings are and all that stuff. So yeah, so if you are in the forum, what we would do is we would refund your unused portion of your subscription. If you're on annual or 6 month or whatever, we'd refund the part that you haven't used because you would be paying in the inner circle, and the inner circle payment would obviously cover your forum. So that's what we would do there. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. Any questions about any of the stuff that we went over? Here, I'll give you the answers. You guys want the answers? I'll give you the answers for today. Here is the link. Ho-ya. Here is the link. That is where you should find the answers for if you were to grow your account to a certain level, is it worth it to trade with a major bank? It depends on what kind of leverage you want. So there are a couple of interbank markets that you can access with the prime broker. This is from Rick. So the advantage of retail forex trading is you get high leverage. Even 50-to-1 is high leverage. The disadvantage of trading with in the retail world is that a lot of these brokers go bust. I know some really good traders who lost money because they had all of their money with one broker, and that broker went under for whatever reason, and they're not going to get their money back, or maybe a fraction of their money back if all goes well. So, that's why I advocate splitting it up amongst many different brokers. And you can use a software like the Pecunia Systems software called FX Synergy to apply your trades to multiple accounts at the same time. the other part of that question is, if you get to a certain level and you want to trade at a certain level, remember, you're probably only going to get it like 3-to-1 leverage when you go with a prime broker. Like, let's say you go with like Goldman or something like that, and you're gonna, and I think it's, last time I checked, it's like 35 grand a month to get your feed. If you're gonna have a feed in your house or in your office or something. So just remember, you're probably gonna be, you probably probably gonna have around 10 million or so before you think about that in most cases. So, because if you're trading 100 standard lots, you're going to max out your retail trading. Like 100 standard lots is about as far as you can go in the retail world, right? So if you want to trade at a higher level than that, and you want, you're okay going with 3-to-1 leverage, and you're okay getting your feed in and all that, just know that all those expenses are part of the deal. So it's expensive to get the terminal in, and then it's much lower leverage with your prime broker. So that's how that would work. There was another one that they had set up, this kind of a mid-level thing, not quite up to that status, and I think it stopped. I think they scrapped it. So that would have been a better one. CurrentX is another one you might look at if you're not ready to make the full jump up. So that's what I would say. Please share the answers for the first, second webinars too. Yeah, sure. You can get those. So I'll send out the link. So if you guys are on the email list at fxjake.com, I'll send out the links for you, okay? You get the links to the recordings, and underneath the recordings will have the answers, okay? And the downloads for this worksheet, but also the answers, all right? Mark said he wrote an EA to split large positions into pieces for brokers that don't allow large positions in one step, can make available. So there's a workaround. Yeah, that's a great idea. So Mark Fletcher, if you're in the forum, that's one thing to look at. That's from, so Rick, that's something that you might want to look at. If I don't know, Rick, if you're in the forum, Naked Forex Now, but that might be something if you contact Mark Fletcher in the automation. He's our automation overlord. That's a great tool as well. That sounds pretty cool. Any other questions? Okie dokie, Smokey. Wait, there's a question here. Is there some recommendation for who this is more useful? For example, more experienced traders get more information than beginners and so on. So ideally, we do have some people who are just starting out, just kind of finding their systems in the inner circle. But ideally, it's kind of, as I see it, suited more for people who know how they're going to trade, but they're more focused on risk management and psychology. Those are the two things we hammer on in the inner circle. We do occasionally have systems, but it's not a focus on systems. The thing is, there are plenty of systems out there that work and make money. The issue is usually me, user error, right? So that's why we focus on psychology. So the inner circle is kind of ideal for the type of trader who knows what they want to do, but they also want to fine tune their risk management and definitely work on their psychology. If those two things are important to you, you've probably been trading for at least 2 years or so, and you know exactly how you want to trade, and you just want to ramp it up. You just want to, go for some stretch goals or whatever. If that's you, then this is probably a good thing. This is kind of the thing that might jive with you. That's kind of our sweet spot in terms of the type of trader that we cater to. We do have some traders who definitely are new, but if you're new, I would say maybe go through a course in the Naked Forex Now forum, like the personal trading course or the Daily Trader, and kind of sort yourself out there, and then that stuff in the inner circle will be more useful to you. There's a waiting list at Naked Forex Now, Gennaro. I'll let you know when we open it up again, okay? Cool. All right, people. If you're on the list at FXJake, make sure you're on the list at fxjake.com, Gennaro, and then you can get in. Thanks so much for your time, guys. We'll send out the recordings for everyone, so you get the recordings for all these. I wish you happy trading. Have a great day. I'm going surfing. It's so hot here today in Sydney. I got to go cool off. See you later. Bye. Have fun. Take care. Bye.